Sounded pretty good.
That did. It felt pretty good.
And left.
Yeah.
Right in the bunker.
Love it.
You're used to that, though. You live there. Welcome back, everybody. Mitch Schneider again with Club Champion. We've got Joe Martinez. He's going to be hitting a few different drivers for us today. So we're going to be comparing the G440 line with the Qi35 line from TaylorMade. So we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to hit each model. Joe's going to take 3 swings with each. Now, the important thing to know here for everybody back at home is all of these heads, we went out there, we weighed them. They're the exact same swing weight. We're using the exact same standard settings throughout, standard weights. And the same exact shaft throughout, which is going to be the Villain 65.5. That's extra stiff for those who don't know. We're going to see how they compare, look, sound, feel, and in performance, and see how it works for Joe here. All of them are great heads, different for everybody. Everybody needs a different one. But it's going to be kind of interesting hearing Joe's feedback on each one of these, and we're going to have a lot of fun while doing it. Joe?
Yeah.
We're going to have some fun, man.
Oh, I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
I love it. I love it. So tell me, what are we starting with first?
So this here is the Ping G440 SFT, okay? I got it at 10.5 degrees.
Okay.
Everything's set to standard, like you said. The hosel, the weight in the back is set in the middle. It's a beautiful club. It's matte black. It's different colors than what they had last year with the G430. Right. It's a little bit more darker blue. In my opinion, I think it looks a little better. I don't like something so flashy and neon greenish, right? I think this is a little bit sleeker and looks nice. One thing I did notice right away, though, is when I sit it down, I mean, it has very much a closed face look at a dress.
Yes.
Makes
sense.
I mean, would that make sense? Is it
no,
100%.
I mean, this is the draw bias head, and we've got 2 settings on it. We've got draw and draw plus.
Okay.
Right? So the standard setting would be the draw setting. It's as standard as it gets. Having said that, there's still some great adjustability with it. And like you mentioned, it's a 10.5 degree head. All the other heads are going to be 10.5 degrees as well. Let's see what this one does for you. I know your miss is a little bit out to the left. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Sounded pretty good.
That did. It felt pretty good.
Just a little left.
Yeah.
Right in the bunker.
Love it.
You're used to that, though. You live there.
Take it out to the right a little.
Okay. Think you accomplished that.
Yeah.
Still drawing.
Yeah, it really is.
Good swing, though.
Thank you.
We're seeing some higher spin. How's it feeling so far?
You know, it feels very soft. It feels good. It's not very clunky. It's not one of those things that it feels like a rock just coming off the face.
Yep.
I love the feel of it in combination with this shaft. It does feel good. Now, what I'm seeing is it's not going as far as what I'm used to seeing.
Right.
Spins a little higher. I'm notoriously a low spin hitter, but for whatever reason, this is giving me a little extra spin.
That's very true. And as we mentioned in another video, the higher MOI that we add here, or the higher MOI that we're playing around with these heads, you can lose a little bit of ball speed there. You keep the forgiveness, so off center hits, you're going to maintain that ball speed, but you might have a little bit less of a ceiling, so to speak, in that ball speed.
Yeah.
Okay, this one might be the best yet. Yeah, still that higher spin rate, but really solid carry, second longest carry that we've seen.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, we'll hand that one back to me. Let's try out the core model, the Max.
Yeah, overall, the soft feel of it, I mean, I did enjoy the feel of it. It was a very pleasant feel to it. Coming off the face, the ball just felt like it did pop, but again, that spin numbers just killed me.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, that's fair assessment. I've always liked the way that Ping drivers feel. That one wasn't the right one for you, based on some of the other things that we've seen today, and definitely off of what you just mentioned, right? Not as long as some of the others. But having said that, let's see how much closer we get. I kind of think of you as more of a core or LS model kind of guy, right? You're already a low spin guy. That's why I say, okay, you could probably get away with the core.
Right off the bat, first thing I see, I mean, it doesn't look that much different. To the eye, I do notice that back weight has more of a fade and a draw setting, not just draw and draw plus. So this is kind of more for those people who have that, two-way. It's kind of a two-way miss in a sense where you can kind of dial that in hopefully by moving that weight in the back.
Yeah, two-way variability, I agree. And if you held them side by side, which we're not doing right now, you would notice that the SFT weight is slightly positioned more towards the heel, even on just the standard quote-unquote draw setting that we have in the SFT. So this is right in the center.
All right, let's do it.
That face projection. Okay, perfect. Let's go for it. Immediately lower spin.
Yes.
And immediately 11 yards longer than your previous best.
Yeah.
Still on the high side. So
I noticed that, 130. Ooh, little left.
Sounded hot though.
Sounded hot, just a little left.
Right,
and
you are.
That's very much a swing thing for me.
Fair enough.
It's something I've been battling a little bit with my left arm, just kind of getting trapped and ended up pulling it left.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Moving those boulder shoulders a little too far left on you.
Those truck shoulders.
Truck shoulders.
Truck shoulders is what they were called earlier today.
Thanks for correcting me on that.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate that. All right. But you did have to kind of dial that one back. And
I did.
I would say a little bit of maybe a lower strike on the face there.
Yeah.
Joe, we see that spin rate kind of jump up. The spin was lower, even with this last one in there at 3,500 RPMs, which was the highest spin of the day. The average is still 400 RPMs lower. If we just took that one out just to kind of show where the first two were, it's a pretty drastic difference. And looking at this, we were very consistent with our spin rate in that SFT model.
Yeah.
So yeah, one miss hit here. Landing angle came down a touch, but those first two, pretty drastic difference in that spin rate there. So
and a good 18-yard difference in total distance.
Good
as well.
18-yard difference for sure. And looking at that dispersion chart, very similar mapping.
Yeah.
However, I would say, yeah, we kind of smoked this one a little bit left. It went further, and honestly, that's the only reason why it was further offline, in my opinion, after kind of looking at that. But seeing two that we left on the right side of the fairway, clearly a little bit less draw bias overall with this head. So let's put the LST model in.
And I'd say the feel, again, was very similar to the SFT.
Love it.
Wasn't much of a difference when I was hitting the center of the face.
Anything that you could say that was slightly different?
At address, it wasn't near as closed.
Yeah.
For me, I like that. It's more pleasing to my eye. I don't, like you said, I can miss left. It's something I can do. It's something I've been battling. So when I look down and I see a club face is closed, I don't like that, right? I feel like I'm going to have to do something to overcompensate. That one didn't give me that feel.
Okay.
When I looked down, I just didn't have that instant feeling of I need to make sure I don't miss left. So right away, looking down, it's a lot smaller. I can absolutely see that. Kind of looks very similar to the Max. The weighting in the back is the same as you know, that variability going fade and draw. But yeah, it is just noticeably smaller. I don't know if it's important. I know it's important to a lot of people that I fit.
Right.
But looking down, I can see these white lines on the face, right? It doesn't bother me. But I know there are people that doesn't really sit well for them, you know?
Yeah, you know, I've seen it go both ways in a fit. Right?
Yeah,
they really like that because they can see the face. It's more confidence inspiring. Kind of seems like there's more loft even though there's not, which can be a little bit more for forgiveness bias. But yeah, there are some folks that want to see a little bit of a cleaner look. You know, you already have kind of the ridges on the top there, right?
Yep.
I believe they used to call it dragonfly technology. Pretty clean looking driver outside of just a few nuances that we see with the ping line.
And other than that dragonfly you're talking about, there's really nothing else on the leading edge that really throws it off. I know some drivers will have a line there or some type of emblem, like TaylorMade might have that emblem right there in the middle. This doesn't.
Yeah. It does frame the golf ball quite well.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Woo! I'm good for one with every swing, I tell you.
There you go. But hey, it's the longest one yet.
Was it?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Sounded pretty good.
Might be starting right. There we go.
There it is.
There we go.
Finally a straight one. Well, center.
Yeah.
Center of the fairway.
Center fairway, yeah. Little toey on that one. Let's see what it does. I'm anxious to see what it does. Yeah.
I mean, for that kind of a miss, man, I will take it.
And that's the LST. I mean, that felt extremely toey. I don't know if you can look at impact location on the face, but...
I absolutely can. Let me bring that up real quick. Yeah. Little low toe, so that's why we still saw a little bit of a higher spin rate. But if we were low heel, that would have been that, over 3,000 spin again. So going back to the dispersion chart, what I like is, look at how consistent that top to bottom dispersion was, right?
Yeah.
Even in the carry and the total, you also have the least amount of left movement out of your miss that was left there. And I do like, we missed one a little bit off to the right here, but it's better than any of these guys down there. So absolutely the best of the ping lineup for you is that G440 LST. Kind of what I was thinking originally. 150, you maxed it out. You had the best ball speed of the day. You swung a little faster, but hey, we were more efficient with it. And we added another 5 yards of carry and another 6 yards of total.
And again, I know a lot of drivers, when they go with that smaller head, they're looking for a little bit more aerodynamic type head.
Right.
Less drag, less windage, right? And that could very much be. I wasn't trying to swing any harder.
Yeah.
So that extra miles an hour. We saw it before with other testing with other drivers. It could very well be the case, right?
So well, I mean, 100%. And in fittings, the LST model has been one of my favorite heads because it's not super unforgiving, right? You know, in comparison to other low spin models, I would say it's a little bit more forgiving than most, right? So you're not dialing that spin all the way down. In comparison to some others, so it gives you some flexibility and fits to say, okay, well this LS model, maybe Qi35 might see this for you, where the spin drops a little bit too low, and that ping doesn't quite drop it, in my experience, as low as other models. So it's a really good one to have in the bay, and it's been an absolute killer for us out there ever since they introduced the LST back, was it G410?
Yeah,
they had the first LST model, I believe. Might have been the G400, but having said that. It's been a really good one since then.
Yeah.
All right, well, look, let's give the Qi35 Max a shot. Okay. So very, very similar to, at least in the lineup of things, the Ping SFT being their most forgiving head, more draw bias. It's very similar in terms of what we're trying to accomplish here with TaylorMade Qi35 Max. So in my previous testing, I've seen that in comparison, we would have a slightly lower spin rate with this Qi35 Max versus the G440 SFT. But let's put that to the test. Let's see if that's really the case for you today, right? Everybody's different.
Yeah. No, at first glance, it's a great looking club. I've really enjoyed looking at these Qi35s this year. I think TaylorMade really hit it out of the park.
I agree.
I mean, they look cool. I mean, almost futuristic, almost robotic, right? Like that's just how they look, in my opinion. I know these are a little bit lighter as well from last year's models. Just
they are
the specific Max.
Absolutely. Kind of like what we're looking at with the GT1, right? We've got a lighter construction. Be able to move it a little bit quicker is the idea, but maintain that ball speed. Because hey, if we're moving it quicker and we're not really getting the ball speed up there, we're just losing efficiency. So we have to maintain that ball speed or increase it to make sure that we're getting that efficiency out of it. So let's give this one a shot. Now I will say one thing that you mentioned there of how clean it looks and how futuristic it looks. I think it's the best looking driver that TaylorMade has put out in a very, very, very long time. Since, I mean, probably the M5. I love that color scheme of the M5. That red worked really, really well. Stayed true to some of the colors within the TaylorMade Pantones that we're used to from years past. And I like that they really gave a clean driver without any crazy colors. You get some green accents on the bottom in a couple different places, but having said that, just a beautiful look.
Just not. It absolutely is. Looking at the face, they still got those same lines that kind of frame the ball really well, like we talked about. But this one does have that top line. It's a white top line, and you can absolutely see it when you look down. Right?
Do you like that for framing it?
Honestly, I don't. I look at the ball more than I look at the club.
Okay, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm not too. That doesn't bother me much. But I've fit golfers who have mentioned that and how they don't like the look of it. It just bothers them for whatever reason. I'm not one of those people. The other thing too, I don't know if this is something you've noticed, but this pattern on the top reminds me very much of the AI smoke.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's
last
fair.
ye's model, the AI smoke. That's the first thing I noticed when I looked at it.
Matte in this version versus
exactly. It still looks cool and it matches everything else, but it is very similar.
Personally, I like the line. I think
you do.
Yeah, because it's a similar color scheme. I know the face is darker than the top, but having that clear line, it really shows me that I'm keeping that face square at address, and that's been always my issue. I start hitting draws and open up the face, and then subconsciously I flip my hands over more. So I like that this allows me to really frame that, make sure that it's square, so I can set up for success on the tee.
Looks good. Does not look closed at address. It looks much more square than it does closed, but.
And hey, so far, that spin rate's staying down, right?
That was extremely low. Yeah, my club speed went down.
It did.
But total distance was, I mean, just as far as any of the rest. So, okay, that's interesting. If I can get it up to where it was. What was it, 107, 108?
Yeah, you were kind of mapping right around there.
A little left. I think I tried too hard on that one. I'll just never not go left. Never not going left. Okay.
All right.
That one felt good. The swing felt good.
Yeah.
But it still went left on me there. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, we had that really far left shot. Again, this is geared to go left.
Yeah.
Having said that, that blue circle was the LST head.
Yeah.
Right? And we know that was the best out of the Ping. So to have the Max getting out there in that same kind of threshold where, as we saw the SFT in white, Pretty impressive to see some of those totals out there because we didn't really raise that spin up. Didn't quite get the same pop that we were getting out of that LST from Ping, but I just love seeing those two, pretty much beating all but this guy right here in the center. Okay, because I would rank this a better shot than the one that's sitting in the bunker close to that lip because it's going to come right back at you with your swing. And we were seeing slightly lower ball speed. In fact, the lowest ball speed of the day on average. Yeah. Okay, with this test. However, we also saw the lowest spin on average. We finally got that landing angle to be closer to what I would consider optimal. 36 degrees is what I'm typically shooting for. Now that is course specific, just for a quick sidebar, because personally at my home course, I'm going for 38 degrees because I've got more forced carries, that sort of thing. It's still optimal. Plus or minus 2 from 36 is pretty good. You need to run it out a little bit more. I'm focused on 34. Let's go to the Qi35, the core model. Okay. Tell me a little bit about this one real quick.
Yeah, very similar from the top here at address. It looks very, I really can't tell much of a difference. Right. Looking down at, again, it's very sleek, very clean. Now there is a weight here at the front.
There is.
Yeah, it looks like this is a 3-gram weight right now, so it still moves most of the weight toward the back.
It is, yes. The heavier weight's in the back there, as you can see. And what this allows us to do is fool around with CG, fool around with some spin, that sort of a thing. So this, and it is a drastic difference when we're moving. I believe the back weight's a 13. Yeah. You can check on that. Tell me if I'm right or wrong.
It is a 13.
It is a 13. So if we flop that 13. Okay, into the front and that 3 in the back, that's basically a net change of 20 grams, right? Where we move 10 grams away from the front to the back.
And those are interchangeable, right?
Those are interchangeable. Okay. So you can really dial in your ball flight, your spin rate. It will bring the forgiveness of that club, the MOI, down a little bit when you have that heavy weight in front. However, it's going to potentially lower that spin rate, give you a little bit more ball speed, that sort of a thing. And my gosh, look at that spin.
Look at
1567.
Holy.
It's the lowest I've ever seen you hit it, except for the duck hooks. Sounded good.
Felt good. It's going to be drawn, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. 303.
I'll
275 carry.
This feels good.
Here we go. That's the longest one yet.
Yep, 1900 spin.
Oh, this one's got a chance. Don't move left on me.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. But
I'll take it, though. That's
307, you're not in the bunker like you were with a couple of the others. So I do like that. Let's take a look real quick at the dispersion. And we're right here in terms of carry, okay?
Yep.
We look at total, just maximized.
Yeah.
Right, so really, really good option for you. And the honest to God, only reason why the carry wasn't maximized is we were actually a little bit lower than optimal in our landing angle on a couple of these. Okay. Right, so we lost a little bit of the carry in a couple of these swings. However, we really maximized the total. So if we can find that middle ground of where we want that spin rate to be to maximize that landing angle for us, then I think we're on to something. But for sure, in the pings, the 10.5 did not work for you. Yeah. Right? It was too high. You need to be in a 9 with the pings, right? And it shows you a different head construction can mean the world, right? Yeah. So just because you're trying some 10.5s and you think that's what you need to be in, you might need a 9 in certain drivers. You might need to be, loft up in the other ones. So with this one, we're seeing that lower spin. I think that's phenomenal.
Can you do me a favor? Go to the table there.
Yeah, you read my mind.
Yeah. One thing I always like to point out whenever I do fits with people, right? So we've swing weighted these out to be the same swing weight. Yes. Okay. Swing weight has a lot to do with timing and how you find the center of the face. One thing I'd like to point out is that smash factor. Yeah. No matter what head we put on, right now I've been fitted to this shaft. Okay, I know the shaft works for my swing and my tempo and the way that I load it and release it. But that right there is verification to me that this is the right shaft. No matter 100%. What head I put in, I'm still finding the center. I'm still hitting it well. But the head characteristics is what's creating all these other differences.
It absolutely is, and it's a good point to make there, Joe, because it's just a solid fact out there that you are going to have a better time making sure that you have the right shaft, and potentially the wrong head for you than if you had the right head and the wrong shaft. Yep. So very important to dial that in. I'm glad we took care of that before this video. Yeah, exactly. Because big cog in that.
Yeah, there we go. And also another thing, one thing I do like about that when we saw the dispersion there. If I took this to the course, that's just something I'm just aiming right center of the fairway. Yep. I know my miss is left, I know that if it goes straight, I'm still in the fairway, right? Now for here, obviously, I'm just aiming down the middle, and we're going to let it do what it does.
Right.
But from that dispersion, I mean, those are 3 balls that are right in the fairway every time.
They are.
So
yeah,
great,
no, it's a good observation.
I was a big fan of that. Now, as a fitter, with the LS model and the low spin you saw me already hitting, is this something you would normally put me in?
I might say, okay, we're pretty optimal when it comes to that. We need to look at loft and see where we're at. But in this case, I want to see where it shakes out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'll tell you this, back when I first started here with Club Champion, I was playing C-taper, X130s. I know it's a shaft, we're talking about heads. Low launch shaft, right? Well, the Modus 120, higher launch than the C-taper, no doubt. Well, for me, I hit it lower than the C-taper.
Yeah.
Why? Who the heck knows? So to connect the dots here, it could be that for some reason, just like we saw in another video with Wilson, that LS model actually flew higher for me than their core model did. So maybe we see something similar with you. Maybe we do see that spin rate drop to an unsustainable level.
Yeah.
Let's give it a shot. But tell me what you're seeing right here. You might notice a little bit more weights in the bottom of that.
I do. Obviously, there's weights on the bottom that are toward the toe, toward the heel here. And then you still have that weight in the back here. It's a little bit smaller head again. It is the LS, so a little bit sleeker, more aerodynamic. I'm curious to see if I'm going to swing it a little faster.
Right.
But yeah, with those weights, you put heavier weights in the front, you're even getting lower spin. Right, you're getting lower launch. Right now, it's just standard 3 gram weights in both. And then you got the 13 gram in the back.
Yeah, 100%.
Kind of
a lot
the
of
same
variability, a lot of adjustability here, and being able to move those weights to 3 different positions just adds a little extra adjustability that really works well in a fit. And hey, you might be timing it up a little bit wrong when you get out there on days where you don't have our A game, right? So being able to get on the range and potentially move one of those weights around to help you out for that round that you have that day is really, really nice. And TaylorMade hasn't really had this in a while. They had that weight tracker in the front, right?
Yeah.
The problem with that weight track is it reduces the forgiveness on average by about 15% when we were talking about the different models that they made. So I'm glad they went away from the weight track and just went to weights. Oh, be good.
Oh,
woo. That is a new best right there, Joe. And it was in the center of the fairway.
Yeah, that was nice.
Which is rarefied air for you.
I want to be mad at you, but you're right.
Well, we're getting to a better fit. We're going to see this more often. And that landing angle, right where I want to see it at 37.
Yeah.
Be good.
Okay, not bad.
I mean, I'll take that miss.
Oh, absolutely. It's the first little fader we've seen.
It is. One more fade by his head, of course.
Okay.
There we go.
There's that lefty. I love it.
Very nice. I mean, 309.9 and 308, two longest of the day.
Yeah.
And your miss with a cut
is
302.
Let me do one more. I'm not going to go after this one.
Okay.
I'm just going to go stock swing.
Stock swing.
I think going after it, my timing just kind of got a little off.
Yeah, and you're barely in the first cut of the rough.
Yeah.
Nice swing. And
thank you.
Man, just 0.2 yards from another personal best. I love it. Awesome. Well, just for the sake of, hey, we swung this one a little bit different. It's still a great shot. I'm just going to ignore it because it's the 3 standard stock swings that we're looking at. Look at that, man. We did not go left.
Yeah, that's no difference.
We did not go left. Now, we did have the furthest right miss of anything, but that's to be expected.
Yeah.
We had some really, really good table numbers, but let's look at carry real quick before we move over. Longest carry of the day. These two guys, I mean, that is a very tight dispersion. You are not guessing where that is going for you.
Yep.
100%. Okay, so let's look at this table. I think we got our winner.
Yeah.
Right? What's interesting is you had higher ball speed with the Q440 LST. You really did.
Yeah.
Right? But look at that spin at 27 for you. And again, I think if we put the G440 LST 9 degree in your hand, we might see something pretty cool with that, right? So I'm not saying that ping's not the right thing.
Yeah, 125 height, absolutely.
But keeping this with everything being the same, well, one today is that Q35 LST. You got 307 on average versus 305, 295. I mean, hey, in comparison, Qi35 Max versus the G440 SFT, Qi35 Max wins for you. Max versus their core versus the TaylorMade core, we got a TaylorMade that wins.
Yep.
So each category, it's one for you in TaylorMade, right? So in 10.5 degrees, TaylorMade's rocking and rolling on you,
Yeah.
right? Now, I would really love to see a hit. Maybe we'll do it in a different video. The comparison for the G440 9 degrees.
Yeah.
And see how that kind of changes. Because if we go down to a 9 degree for that LST, we could see some more ball speed.
Yeah.
Right? Lower loft, you can have some more pop off that face. And I know we're maxed out right there at 150, technically speaking, but maybe put a little extra ump into it.
Well, another thing, again, I mean, we touched on it earlier, but you got my swinging out of my shoes one ignored there.
Yeah.
The 2 fastest club head speeds are the LSC models.
They are.
Right? The smaller heads.
Yes.
And I was on average 1 to 1.5 miles an hour faster, not trying any harder.
And with that too, right, we talked about if we gain speed, we want to maintain or get better in ball speed. We did that in both those heads too.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Yeah.
for you, LST versus LS, those are the models you need to be playing. That LST would be good to test in a 9 degree, but for the Qi35, I would be maintaining with that LS. And one other thing to note, right? Kind of talked about, oh, this might go lower, this might spin lower. We actually spun it a little bit higher, right? Just luck of the draw there, maybe where we're mapping it on the face during this. But because of that, we have 105 in terms of height, and our landing angle was slightly, it's at 37 versus where we were at 34.5.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a significant change.
Well,
Right? I'm loving it.
I gamed the Qi10, so it looks like it's time to,
Time to
to
trade in and
upgrade
trade
to the
up, right?
35, that's for sure.
There we go.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thanks, Mitch.
No, thank you, Joe. That was
Yeah.
great. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for us one more time here with Joe and Mitch, Ned Flanders, some of you like to say. We're going to sign off for today. Thanks for watching. It was a lot of fun testing out these 2 brands. 2 great driver heads from 2 great brands. There's a head for everybody. Go get fit. Make sure we get it right and shoot lower scores. Thanks, everybody. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button at the bottom of the page, and we appreciate it. See you next time.